Hey guys, yeah, in this video, I'm going to be vibe coding. Now, you must have seen vibe coding everywhere on the internet. And basically what it means is you're interacting with AI models to write your code. As long as you understand the basics, you're interacting with AI model and you're able to build things up. Unlike those days where you get to read books, watch a lot of videos, take courses. As long as you understand the basics, yeah, you interact with AI models, you write good prompts, and it's able to guide you through the whole process of like building strong and solid applications like SaaS applications and all. And yeah, so that's what we'll be doing in this video. I'm going to vibe coding and we're going to be trying to set up in Node.js applications, authentication. We're going to be setting up routes like the sign up route, the login route, the logout route, forgot password route, reset password, refresh token. So basically that means we're going to be handling access token and refresh token. We're going to be handling protected routes in a way. And we're going to be making use of Express, definitely. Our database is going to be PostgreSQL. We're going to, you create this database using Sevalla. You can decide to like spin up a database using Docker. Yeah, that's like very possible. And then we're going to be making use of Prisma. Yeah, Prisma. Yeah. And yeah, we're going to make use of the MVC-ish kind of structure, which is like suitable for API projects. But now this time around, the model is going to be like handled by Prisma. So, and definitely since it's an API, so there's no traditional views. And yeah, here we're going to be making use of TypeScript, very important. Prisma for our models. We're going to create a user model. JWT for access and refresh tokens. We're going to hash the password definitely with bcrypt, and we're going to store refresh tokens and cookies. Yeah, and yeah. And yeah, we're going to organize the project perfectly well, just like how a standard Node.js project to be structured. So you can easily like scale the whole project into like what you intend building and all. And like yeah, I hope to like add more like videos to this like series of vibe coding. And yeah, we're gonna be making use of Postman to test, definitely. And this is just me writing my whole prompt to ChatGPT, which is the model we're gonna be using. And I'm just telling it I want a clean code base, explain everything, make it structured, guide me through, wiring up the endpoint, what's going on. Okay, yeah, this is just me adding what I want. Since I'm going to be creating a YouTube video, I'm just gonna take this out. So, yeah. Then I don't need a more, okay, yeah, I'm just giving it instructions and that's all, right? So it's just me being very detailed. So yeah, I understand what's going on in my head. Yeah, I'm just transferring the knowledge. And yeah, when I send this prompt, so I just have a basic folder here. I've not yet created any other thing. Yeah, so it's me starting up afresh. So just create a folder and like open the folder in your IDE. Yeah, so now ChatGPT started answering us, and the first thing is telling us, oh, we need to create a folder, then you need to navigate into the folder, and yeah, we've done that. And then next thing is for us to spin up a Node.js project using npm init-y, or you just use npm init. I'm just going to drag up my terminal here, and since we're going to be doing a lot of terminal work here, so it makes sense. I'm going to zoom this out a little so I don't stress your eyes, and just move this to the side. Yeah, move this down. Yeah, so I believe everybody's going to be able to see it now. And yeah, I'm also going to zoom my, oh, am I zooming the right thing? Okay, yeah, I'm zooming it right. So yeah, I'm going to npm init-y. It's going to spin up a package.json file with the name and all. You can edit all of those. And yeah, the main next thing is for us to install libraries, right? We're going to be installing Express. Definitely we need that. We're going to be installing bcrypt for helping us to hash our passwords. We're going to be installing JSON web tokens, yeah, for handling tokens. We're going to be installing cookie parser for us to be able to create cookies. We're going to be installing CORS, very important here, and it's going to work alongside cookies and all. Then we're going to be installing .env so that we can create environment variables and store like our database URL and all of that like important secrets. And yeah, since we're going to be making use of Prisma, we're also going to install Prisma and Prisma client for us to be able to interact with Prisma. And yeah, let me start with all of that. So I'm going to copy all of this and come here and install them. We're installing a whole lot of things. I'm going to make use of them gradually in the project. I'm also going to install this. Oh, this is taking time. And then next thing after that, we're going to install TypeScript. And I'm going to adjust this a little. I'm going to install TS Node instead of TS Dev. I really don't have strong reasons to that. But yeah, it is what it is, right? We're going to install TS Node. And yeah, you may be asking, why do we get to install all of these types, right? We install node types, we install express type, we install types for JSON Web Token. Literally, we're installing types for all the packages we installed earlier. And yeah, the truth is JavaScript libraries don't usually ship with TypeScript types like out of the box. So the TypeScript compiler has no idea what functions, argument, or structures. So if we decide not to install all of this and we continue our project, it's going to be marking a whole lot of things with the red line as errors. It's going to be throwing all of them as errors. Your functions and everything that relates to these packages, right? So you got to install the types definition for each of them. And basically what it does is it gives TypeScript the info it needs to understand JavaScript libraries. And yeah, without it, TypeScript is like blind, and like, yeah, you lose like safety and editor types like, oh yeah. So we've installed Prisma and we're just going to go ahead and install all of these. I'm going to adjust that line to use TS Node instead of TS Node-dev. I literally guess they do the same thing, right? Over the years, I've always used TS Node, so I just go install TS Node. And yeah, next thing, once this is installed, we're going to initialize our TypeScript file. Since we're going to make use of TypeScript, so we need to set up some rules, right? And for us to like set up the TS config file, we can just make use of the npm tsc init file. Since we have installed TypeScript, so this is going to work perfectly. And here you'll notice we have a tsconfig.json file here. I'm going to move this down a little, and we have a whole lot of configurations here. I'm going to come back here, and it's definitely should have given us a sample configuration we should use, but apparently it has not done that. So I'm just gonna pull that from one of my projects. Yeah, I'm going to pull that from one of my projects and just delete all of this and put it here. Yeah, and so basically what it's doing here, we are concerned with these two lines, the root directory. So that means we're going to be creating an src file. And if you're not going to create an src file, you can just make this the root directory. So this is the root directory of where it's going to like access all the TypeScript files. And when it eventually bundles, it's going to bundle them into the dist folder. Yeah, and it keeps doing this over and over. But for development, so we don't need to keep creating transpiling TypeScript files to JavaScript files. So we're going to make use of TS Node, and it silently does it and doesn't create a file. But yeah, we're going to go over that in a moment, in a jiffy. Yeah, I think this is all for our TS config. These are like some basic rules we want to like declare. And then we can go back to our project to get started, right? Okay, and then next thing, let's initialize Prisma so that it can create some basic Prisma files and folder. Yeah, so Prisma init, and here it's going to create the Prisma folder and the schema.prisma. This is where we're going to initialize. This is where we're going to create our Prisma schema, sort of like the model for the database, right? And this is where we're also going to connect the database URL. So we're going to like add it to the something. So since we did Prisma init, it added like this database, and this is like what a Postgres database URL will look like. So if you spin up one with Docker, you just replace it here, and we're going to spin up that. I think we should just go ahead and do that. So I'm going to be making use of Sevalla. Sevalla is a project by Kinsta. It's a very solid project here, and it helps you also deploy your databases. You can create deploy your applications, deploy static sites. Okay, so you can just go ahead to sign up to Sevalla. So once you sign on, you're able to access the dashboard. And here we can just go ahead to create a database. We can create a Postgres database, PostgreSQL, MySQL, MariaDB, Redis, Valkey, any one of them. So I'm going to be using the latest version, and I'm going to be leaving all the information like this. And we have the default name, username, password. You can adjust all of this, and you can adjust the location closest to you and all. Then click on create. And then once this is spinning up, this gives you all the details you need, the host port and all. We were just interested in the URL, and I'm interested in the public URL, but I think some things are still spinning up, so we really don't have access to all of these configurations just right now. But if we wait for 2, 3, 1 minute, everything is going to be set up. But from that, let's move ahead to see what the structure of our Node.js project is going to look like. So everything is going to be within the src folder, and so we're creating folders for everything. We're creating cool folders for controllers, for routes, for services, for middleware, and I'm going to be explaining all of this gradually. And this is the Prisma folder and file that has been created for us. This is the tsconfig file. We have the package.json and we have the env file. So we're just going to go ahead to start creating all of these folders. And in all of these folders, there are going to be files. For example, in the controller folder, your files are going to be stuff like auth. It's going to be files like auth.controller.ts within the controller file. And this controller is going to control everything about authentication. So we're going to spin up the sign up logic here, the login logic, and the reset, and every other logic. We're going to spin them up here. Not really the logic here, but everything that controls it. And I think the core logic is going to be spinned up in the service folder. If you scroll, we're going to see like a service file. Sorry, I think I scrolled too fast. Oh, but like, yeah, it looks like we don't have, so there's services here. So I'm just going to ask it, yeah, so I'm just going to ask it that, right? And yeah, we can go ahead to like, okay, let's go back to the database, and yeah, definitely the database spinned up. We can enable public access. And with this, we can be able to copy this link. And once it's copied, we can go back here and replace it. Yeah, I'm going to make sure I delete this database after this video. And yeah, once I replace it, yeah, this is the Postgres database URL, and then we can come to our root folder and create an src file folder. And in this src folder, I'm going to start like the whole configuration, but let me see what it tells me regarding the service file. So yeah, we can spin up. Okay, yeah, so it's taking out yeah, you should be able to use the service layer even if we keep it minimal. The goal is to keep the controller thing, just validate inbuilt and call the service. So let's refactor the sign up. So yeah, when we get to this, we're going to come here and undo all of this. But straight, let's get to setting up the whole structure and Prisma. Yeah, so we're going to create folders for the controllers and all. Yep, so I'm going to create the controller folder, but I have the culture of like setting up controller with the file. So yeah, so I don't have to like do these things twice. So I'm just going to create a file like this. In the CSV folder, I'm just going to spin up a file. Yeah, it's going to create the controllers folder and the file. And similarly for the route, we're going to create a route folder with a route. So come back to the src, and yeah, we're going to create this. So we have the controller, we have the route, and same thing for the services. We're going to create the folder for services, and just come back to the src and just spin this up. And yeah, we have the 3 folders. Let me see what's missing. So we have the controller, we have the route, we have the services. Yeah, we'll come to the middleware later when we get to like use it. But yeah, the major thing, we have to create the app.ts file, which is like the root file. So in our package.json file, we have the index. we have the index.js file being the root file. So we can just stick with that. So it's going to be in the root of your project. So index.js. So now let's move ahead. So we need to set up the Prisma schema, which is like the model for your project, right? So this is going to be the model. So we are storing the ID, the email. So the ID is just going to be generated using the CU ID. You can make use of UUID. And this is a string, so it's type checking all of this. So we really don't need to declare the type schema of like the user, right? Because we can import it from here. Now we'll also have email, password, time is created, whenever it's updated. Yeah, and we're also going to be storing the reset token and the reset token expiration like date. Now this is for when we work on the reset password route. Yeah, so when a token is generated, it's going to be stored in the database, and when a new password is created, that token is going to be deleted off the database. And yeah, the expiration date is also going to be there for us to like check. So all of this is very important for security, right? So we're going to copy all of this and go into the schema, right, and just paste it below. Yeah, and with that, we are done with the schema configuration for Prisma. And then the next thing will be for us to migrate Prisma. So what this does is that it takes the Prisma schema which we just created and generates like an SQL migration file for it and applies it to your Postgres database. So I'm just gonna take this and go back to terminal and run this. Once we run that here, it tells us it's running. It's going to take a while and it's going to create the SQL file. Okay, so the SQL file has been created, and this also goes ahead to like create a migration folder within the Prisma folder, and this has your SQL file and all. You're really not concerned with all of this. All of this is managed by Prisma and the whole command thing. And yeah, you can move ahead to like generate the generate the Prisma client. So based on your schema, and that's like what npx Prisma generate does. So we're gonna do this, and yeah, with this done, so there is a command called npx studio, npx Prisma studio, which lets you like see a tabular version of like your database, and you're able to, I'm just trying to confirm. So it's npx Prisma studio. Okay, I think I'm right after all. Yeah, it helps you see the database. So I'm just going to try it. Yeah, so our database is loaded on localhost 5556. I'm just going to copy that. Else is going to load on another screen. I'm just going to load that here. Yeah, so it's loaded, and then we have the user model which we created, and then you can see the fields. We have the ID, the email, the password, the created ad, the use, and yeah, all of that. So whenever we add any data to the database, it's all going to show here. So I'm just going to leave that the way it is there. Now we can move ahead to like start working on our API and like start doing things at speed. So in the index.js file, I'm going to close every other. Yeah, so in the index.js file, now what ChatGPT is doing is kind of like separating the app.ts file from the server file. And basically what's in the server file is just the port for running the Node.js project. So I'm going to merge that together. So I'm just going to copy this first lines up to here and paste it here. And then I'm going to copy, yep. I'm going to copy all of this and bring that here, and I'm going to move this to around the top here. Yep, I'm going to move that like that. So what's happening here is we're importing Express, very important. We're importing cookie parser, we're importing course and .env, all of this, so we can initialize them from the root of your project, right? We're initializing course here, and yeah, we're setting the front end route, which is going to be like majorly accessing this API. And yeah, that's all of this is just fundamental. Yeah. and then we're initializing express cookie parser, and yeah, we're setting up this route. We're gonna work on this route very soon, and then we're setting the port, and we're like listening to the 5,000 port. And that's all. And here is making us access the environment variables. So we should set the port variable in the env file. Funny enough, AI did not tell us to do that, but if we had asked more detailed questions, to have told us to do that. So we can just do that ourselves. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick to 5,001. Let me just use 5,001 or 5,002 in case anything is running on my system. And this to 5,002. Yeah, so we have all of that spinned up and working already. So the next thing will be for us to start configuring our routes, right? And here you notice we are establishing the default path for the route. So it's gonna be like localhost slash dot 5002 slash API slash auth, and then any other route we declare, for example, slash signup slash login slash reset password. Yeah, all of them are gonna be attached here. So now, and it's saying all of this is coming from auth routes, and auth route, we have not defined the auth route. Oh, okay, we've defined the auth route here, so we've not added the code, right? So we're gonna move ahead to do that, and here we're gonna be setting up so yeah, it's going to be importing all of this logic from controllers, right? But first of all, we're just going to start very basic. We're going to start from sign up, which is like what we're going to be creating first. And you see how it like creates all the endpoints here, but like I want us to do this like gradually, right? So, and when we go to controller, so it is highlighting this error because it is not saying sign up, which is we're claiming to be exporting from auth controller, right? So we're going to go into auth controller, and before we do that, I would like we create some helper functions, right? So in the root folder of our project, we're going to create a in the SRC folder, we're going to create another folder. We're going to call it utils for utility functions, and then the first utility function we're going to create is token. Yeah, token.ts is going to be TypeScript file. And what is this? This is going to be responsible for generating our access token, generating the refresh token. We're also going to add another function for I think confirming. Yeah, we're going to add another function for verifying the refresh token. But basically, the access token that is generated expires in 15 minutes. The refresh token expires in 7 days. Now, if you understand how access token and refresh token works, now, so the access token helps you access protected routes, and definitely you want to protect majority of your routes in your API, right? So it helps you access all of this for protected routes. So when you add it to your HTTP request, now you're going to be able to like access the API. But now this expires in 15 minutes to like protect your API. Now there's also going to be a refresh token, which is going to be stored in your cookies. And this refresh token is supposed to be used to help you generate new access token over time, right? So yeah, so I'm going to copy this and go into the token file and paste it here. Now what it's doing is it's signing a JWT, and like it's signing and it's making use of your user it's going to store your user ID, and we can access that later. And it's making use of a secret, and so an access token secret. Now this is very important. Like it's like what distinguishes the tokens that are generated, right? And this has to be like stored properly because it can be used to decrypt the token, right? So so we need two environment variables, the access token and the refresh token, right? So we're going to come in here, and hopefully ChatGPT can complete it. But if it can't complete it, I think I can pull this from somewhere. Else we can just stop being lazy and do it, right? So copy this. So access token, you're just gonna set this to test, right? That's a very bad thing to do. And then oh sorry, why? and then the refresh token also to test. And I don't think you should not use the same value. So let me just say test, you understand? So that's going to be our access and refresh token. And then with that setup, the next thing will be for us to, yeah, this is very important, so we don't get to like be importing Prisma clients in every file where we get to interact with Prisma. So, and initializing it just makes sense to do all of this in a separate file and then just import one line and be able to access Prisma, right? So within our src folder, we're still going to create like a Prisma / client.ts file. So remember we imported Prisma clients the other time. So yeah, so it helps us to access Prisma in our code base. Yeah. So this is just a one-time thing and we are not going to make use of it any longer. So we have all of those set up, and then the next thing is for us to undo the whole controller logic for sign up. Now remember I asked it to use service the other time. Yeah. So coming down here, I'm going to be explaining the code now. And here, it's importing auth service. We can adjust that code, right? Yeah, can adjust that code. But yeah, we're importing request and response from Express now based on, since we're using TypeScript, right? We have to like ensure everything is type protected. Now, the first thing that is happening here is for sign up. Now remember the routes, the sign up route in it's accessing the sign up function from the controller. This tells you this is a very core logic, right? Now, when it comes here, what happens is it's going to extract the email and password from the request, because the user is going to be sending this as a body through the API request, right? Now, we're going to extract the email and the password. Now, when we extract the email and the password, we are going to send it to the service. Now, we're going to send it to the service here. We're going to send the email and the password. And what the service is going to do is going to like check if there's an email and password. If it does not exist, it's going to throw an error first of all. Now, if it exists, then we're now going to go to the Prisma database using the find unique function. We're going to check the database. We're going to look through the database if there is any row that has this email address. Now, if any row has this email address, so immediately we're going to throw like an error that this email is already in use. That means the user cannot like create another account with that same email, right? Now, if the email does not exist, we'll move on to hash the password that is being gotten from here. We're going to hash the password using bcrypt. Now, another thing to do would have been to like create another helper function for hashing password and for also confirming password. I think that's like a very good thing to do, right? So that you don't get to like repeat a whole lot of things in your project. So in this utils folder, I'm going to create hash.ts file. Now in this file, I'm going to import bcrypt, which we installed earlier, and this is doing two things. So I noticed we did not install the type for this when we installed it earlier, so that's why it's flagging that error. So I'm going to like do that briefly. I think I just spin up. I'm just going to do that here. Now, once I do that, the error is going to go away. And now, two things we are doing here. We are creating a function to hash passwords so that we don't, so any password that is passed here is just going to hash it and straight up and export it, right? And then also to compare password, you're going to see where this is very useful, where we get to like log in and all, right? So I'm going to save this file. And then coming back to this code, we're going to adjust this part of the code to pass the password to the function that we created to get the hash password. And then the next thing we are doing is that we're creating a new user, right? We're creating a new user and storing the email and the hash password to the database. Now, once this user is created, we're now able to generate an access token for the user, signing it using the JWT, and we're also going to create a refresh token for the user, and we're going to return the access token and the refresh token. So I'm just going to copy this service file, which is handling like the core logic, and here Yeah, we're gonna have it here, and I'm not going to import bcrypt. I'm not going to import bcrypt, and then I'm going to import hash password. And yeah, for now we just need hash password from the utility folder, and we're going to adjust this file to, instead of like encrypting it from here, we're just going to use the hash password and pass the password. That's like all we need to do. And then like all I explained happens, and that's all for the service file. And then we'll go to the auth controller. We'll go to the auth controller, and then in the auth controller, I think we have the code above. So when the auth service returns a response, it returns the access token and the refresh token, which we are the structure in here. And then we're going to store the refresh token to the cookie. And yeah, all of these configurations. And I think we can adjust some of these values, right? And then we're now going to return the access token. Yeah, because we don't want to return the refresh token to the user. So we're going to return the access token, which the user can then go ahead to use to handle authentication for protected routes. So in the front end, this access token is going to be taken and then used and passed alongside every request, right? So I'm going to copy this, and here I'm just going to import it here. And yeah, for this cookie, I think I'm going to adjust the code a little bit. Now, I really don't get to write cookie that way. Okay, so what this message is doing is, I'm setting this cookie for 7 days. So let me just add a comment here that this is going to expire in 7 days. And then this same site, I really don't know what lax does, but I know there is like a strict. Well, maybe I just leave the lax and then node environment. So it's not going to be secure on a dev environment, which we are. So it's going to be secure in production. And then HTTP only. Yeah. So all of this works. Now I don't want to call this JID. I think I should call it refresh token. Yeah, we should call it refresh token. Now, then access token. Yeah, so with all of that, we are done with our sign up. Now let's go through the code to see if any other thing is left. But I really doubt, I think every other thing is completed, and we are good to like test the sign up route, right? We're going to test the sign up route. So, for us to test the sign up route, we need to like pass some body. Yeah? So I'm going to spin up our project. Here we are spinning up Prisma. So I'm going to like spin up a project. But for us to spin up the project, we need to configure some scripts, right? We need to configure some script. So the way I like doing it with my TypeScript files is for me to but okay, first of all, in our package.json file, we can set up a build command. Can set up a build command, which is literally going to be TSC. So it's going to bundle up, or let's say transpile your TypeScript files that are located in the SRC folder. Based on our TypeScript configuration here, it's going to transpile them into JavaScript files in the DST folder, right? Now, when it has transpiled these files, now you can now make use of the start command using Node TST based on the index.js file. So it's now going to be able to like run the file. So let me save this and just do that briefly. So first of all, I'm going to run npm run build. Now, you see what's going to happen is it builds our whole project inside a dist folder, and you see all of them and converts everything to JavaScript files, right? Converts everything to JavaScript file, but we really have no concern with all of this. And now we can now run the npm run start command, and it's throwing an error. Now, the reason why it's throwing this error is because when you check the dist folder, you don't get to like see an index. Okay, let me close everything and then open the dist folder. You don't get to see an index.js file, and apparently it's supposed to load a dist/index.js file. Now, this is happening because remember, let me close a lot. Let me close others, and then remember in the tsconfig file, the root directory is the src folder, and look at where the index.js file is. It's not in the src folder, so we'll have to move this into the src folder. That was a big mistake. Now it's in the src folder. We can now go ahead to like bundle up our code again. Now transpile the code, and then when you come to your dst folder, let me close this and then open the dist folder. We still don't see the index.js file, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete the old folder, and yeah, and bundle it up again. Now when I bundle it this time around, oh my god, this is strange. I'm just gonna come back here since we're vibe coding and get this error even after moving index.ts file into the src folder. It doesn't transpile. Yeah, so you're seeing this error because we have all of this, right? Yeah. Currently, I'm just gonna like leave that aside, and so we're supposed to have a def command that makes use of ts node. That makes use of ts node and is able to like run the TypeScript file. Now, what ts node does is that it doesn't go through the whole process of building the dist folder. It builds it like sort of internally or privately, so it doesn't like go ahead to like create all of this folder, right? Yeah, and with that you'll be able to like run your TypeScript file without you seeing it bundle, without you seeing it transpile, but it actually transpiles under the whole like behind the scene, right? So if I create npm run dev, it's gonna run our project. Now it looks like, oh my god, this is crazy because this is an index.js file. Meanwhile, this is meant to be an index.ts file. So that's why it has not been transpiling all along, and that's why we've been having a series of errors. But first of all, it looks like we did not install the types for course. And you know, it has always been a JavaScript file, so it never threw TypeScript related errors. So I'm just gonna install this. This is crazy. This is very crazy, by the way. Now, I'm going to delete the dist folder and let me do all of that all over again. And then I'm going to build the project again. And then now when I build and come to we're going to see the index.js file, right? Now when we start, the project is going to run on HTTP 5002. Now, but like I said, so now that it runs on 5002, I'm just going to copy the URL and then go to Postman. I'm just going to spin up a post request to localhost. I'm just going to copy this 5000. Now it's going to be a post request and it's going to be to the route, right? So remember in the index.ts file, we have the /API/auth, right? And then we're going to come here, we're going to add all of that here, and then /signup, right? And then we're going to attach the email and the password to the body, which is going to be passed. And yeah, when you click on the send, we're going to get the access token. Now we're getting the access token, and remember here, the refresh token for the sign up, because we want a situation that as the person is signed up, they are being logged in automatically, right? So as the person is signed up, the cookie is also being set to cookies, right? And then we have the access token, which we can use to access protected route. Now, the user's data is also stored to the database. So if you go to Prisma Studio and you refresh, we're going to see the user's details. So the ID, the email, the password. Now the reset token and all, they are still set to null. We're going to fill that in. But you see how easy it is for us to like set up basic sign up. Now things are going to be way faster because we have handled like the whole scaffolding. Now we're going to move to the login route. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT, let's work on the login route. Now this is going to be quite faster. Now in the service file, basically what we're going to be doing there is, so for you to log in, you're going to pass in your email and password, and that's going to come right from the controller. So when the email and password is passed, so it's going to be sent to the auth service, the login, and which is like this file here. And then when it is sent here, we're going to check if email and password exist as usual. And then if so, if it does not exist, we're going to make use of the find unique password, which is from function from Prisma, to be able to check if this email matches the email that the user sent, if it matches any of the data in our database. Now, if it doesn't, we're going to throw an error. And if it does, we're going to encrypt the password that is being supplied by the user. And then we're going to do a comparison to compare the password that is supplied by the user, encrypting it, and also confirming it against the password we have in our database. Now, this line is being handled by the utility function that we created earlier. Here, so here we are like using this. So we're going to undo that on our own, right? And then like as usual, just like what we did in the sign up, we're generating the access token and the refresh token, and then passing it to the controller. We're also setting up cookie and then returning the access token, right? Now we're going to add this function to the controller. So coming to the controller, so we have the sign in here, and we're going to have the sign at the login below, and we need to import Prisma. Oh, sorry, we're pasting this in the wrong file, right? I was kind of surprised why we needed to int. We need to paste this in the service folder for, yep. So here, and bcrypt, so because we are not going to be using this, so I'm going to import this. We have a function called compare password, right? So we're going to import that here. Yep. So, and then here we're going to adjust this a little to compare both passwords. So it's going to check both password. And then with that, we're done with this. And then in the controller, we can copy this logic, go to the controller and add it right there. And everything about the login is going to work. So the next thing we need to do is to declare the route. Remember, I deleted the route the other time. So we're going to set up the login route and import the login function from the controller, and with that we're good to go. So I'm also going to spin up a logout route because so that we can be able to delete the cookie that was created, right? So it makes sense to just do all of that. So let's ask it. So it asks us a question, ready to move on to the logout, and say yeah. Yep. So let's spin up the logout route. Now, one thing we have to remember is, remember I changed, when we go to the controller, when we're storing the cookie, I changed it to refresh token. So we need to be consistent. So here too, we need to make use of refresh tokens. Very important. And now in the logout function, since we're using HTTP cookie, logout just needs to clear the cookie, right? That's very true. So okay, so we really don't have to do anything in the service file. Yeah, that's very important. And then we can copy all of this. Now what this is doing is, as usual, taking the request and the response, and then we are clearing the cookie. So we're going to replace this. And that's just all that is happening here. We're clearing the cookie, right? So, but when you are in production, you may want to like do more things. In case you're storing the cookie in like a Redis database or something, you want to handle all of that. Well, yeah, this is just very basic. And like this actually works for real-time projects, right? So we have the logout route here. We are not expressing any data, so we're clearing cookie, and yeah, like we did earlier, we're replacing this with refresh token, and that will help us be able to like clear this token. And now we have 3 routes, but we need to go to the route file and then work on the logout. So this is quite weird. It's trying to like do the logic here. Meanwhile, we've done the logic already. So we have logout, 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 and logout, right? So all of this works now. We can now go. So we have to like stop the server and run it again. Now in a bit to not do this. So I have NodeMon installed globally on my system. So this means I can like, well, if you don't have it installed globally on your system, you can easily spin up install NodeMon in your project, and you can create a NodeMon.js file, JSON file, right? But yeah, I would not do that. So since I already configured a dev folder, a dev script here using TS Node, I'm also going to go ahead to delete this, so you see that it does not like keep on transpiling into like a new folder, right? Now I'm going to come here and run npm run dev, and yeah, it's going to spin up our project without creating the dist folder, right? Now we have access to this route. We can now go back to Postman and log out first before attempting to log in. So when we log out, we notice the cookie is deleted from here, and yeah, we don't need the body, right? So it never like took that in, but it's logged out. So we can now log in. And now when we log in using this payload, and remember we have this, but I'm just going to adjust this email and so that you see the error handling. So we remember we don't have this email in the database. It's going to tell us invalid email or password, but the moment we adjust it to reflect the correct email address, we're going to see the cookie is added to the database, and we're going to see we have the access token, which is refresh, which is a different one from what we had earlier. So basically we've been able to handle 3 endpoints, which is going back here, we've been able to handle the sign up, the login, the logout. So we're going to quickly go over the remaining 3 endpoints, and we're going to briefly touch on protected route and call this the end of the project. So let's work on the refresh token. Start with the refresh token. So going back to our project, we can close, I think we'll start from the service folder. So I can close orders. And yeah, so yeah, the refresh token. Now, if you come back to the token file, I said I was going to like add another function to verify the refresh token. Yeah, to verify the refresh token. Yeah, and that's very important here. So you see here, that is why we are importing JWT, and I'm trying to avoid the situation where we'll get to import these things in so many files. So since we've imported it here, we can just handle everything about that here. So we don't have to like import it in our other files. So I'm just going to bring in this function. Now what this function does is verify the token. So it takes in a token, and yeah, so it does this JWT verify. So it takes in a token and uses the secret that we created, yeah, to like check if like, yeah, so this returns so basically, let me go over the code now. What this does is refreshing your access token. So say your access token is expired, or say you perform a request, right? So for every request you perform, you try to like refresh the access token so that you are not like interacting with your API and all of a sudden you cannot access anything any longer. So you try to like keep elongating the 15 minutes every time, right? Yeah, so what you do is you take in the access token, and now when you send in this access token, it tries to like decrypt it to verify it to be sure like this access token, so it verifies this access token and says that the user like in like it's like relates, right? Now the next thing is it generates a new access token using the generate access token function. You understand, by passing in the user ID, like the ID which we used to sign the secret earlier, which we still need to use to sign a new secret, right? Now so here you can like create a new refresh token. You remember the refresh token expires in 7 days. And just like I said for the access token, so imagine on the 6th day, right? You will not want a situation that on the 7th day, the refresh token just expired all of a sudden, right? And the person has been interacting with your API every day. So you can always rotate your refresh token here also, right? It's optional, right? But we're going to do that. And then this is going to return the access token and the refresh token, which is going to be accepted in the controller. Now the controller is going to receive the access token and the refresh token from the service, and then it's going to store the refresh token to the cookie, and it's going to return the access token. So that's very basic. So I'm going to copy this and go into the service file. So remember, you can actually destructure all of this. You can create files for individuals, but like there's really no need to do that. So I don't think we imported JWT file here, right? So I'm just gonna import verify token in this file, right? And then here, so verify token is gonna take in the token. Right. And it's gonna return. So this is quite different. So I'm just gonna take all of this. We're gonna take all of this and paste it here. Oh, but this is quite different, right? So we'll paste the. Sorry, I'm trying to. Oh, so we have JWT refresh secret. So it's claiming to create a new secret for refresh. I really don't think we want to do that, right? So we can just use the refresh token secret here. Yeah, refresh token secret is what's used here. Okay, okay. So we can just copy this and take it here and yep. So what this is doing is it's gonna get the yep. So it's gonna get yeah. So this is fine. So but basically we are going to be passing in the token. Yep. This works, right? So verify token, we're gonna be passing in the token, it's gonna get the payload, and then the payload will be able to get the user ID, which we can use to generate new access token, new refresh token, and all. Then we can go to the controller and update the controller. You can go to the controller and create the refresh token route, which is gonna get that and sign. So first of all, we're getting the cookie if one exists. Yeah, we're getting the cookie if one exists for us to be able to refresh it, right? Yeah, so we're going to be able to like, I think first of all, we're verifying the cookie, right? So verifying the cookie, yeah. So we have to change this to refresh token. Yeah, refresh token. And with that, we are good to go. So we can go back to Postman. What's the route again? Oh, I think we've not yet added the route. So when we come to the auth route, right, we need to add the route. So let's go. That's going to be So in the controller, we created a refresh token route. So we can just come here and add refresh token, and then come here and declare refresh token route, right? And then now we have access to this route, which we can now take to Postman, and then we'll be able to access the refresh token. Now we don't need all of this, but looks like we need the access token. Yeah, we need the access token. So I'm just gonna copy this, right? And then paste it here, verify it, and then we're gonna get this access token. So for every request, remember you're passing the access token. So we know the access token, right? So for every request, we try to like refresh the access token, right? Now, since we have the refresh token here, so when we send a request here, so you notice, no, it's sending a 404, and this is because this is refresh token coming. Apparently we are not using nodemon, so all the changes does not seem to reflect, right? So okay, so I'm not gonna make it, I'm going to make use of nodemon next. But sorry, I thought I implemented nodemon, but unfortunately I didn't, right? So now when I load it up, so you notice the access token changed, right? And then the more I like send the request, the access token continues to change. But in a situation where we don't have cookie, right? I send it. Oh, so the cookie is still there, because if you look at the header, you see we set like the cookie here, right? But now if I, in a situation where I log out, right? So I've logged out and there is no cookie, right? Now, if I go back to the refresh token, and I'm definitely passing an access token, now it's going to tell us that no token is provided because we don't have the refresh token, right? We don't have the refresh token. So that's that for that. Now, for the node mountain, so that whenever we make changes, we don't need to like keep refreshing, right? So we can. Yeah, I think we can add nodemon just directly in front, but I think one best approach would be for us to like create a nodemon.json file in the root of your project, and then we are going to watch the src folder for any change in the src folder. That is a TypeScript file, right? We're going to watch for it, and we're going to be able to use this to execute a refresh of like the core, right? Now in the package.json file, we can just come here and just type nodemon, right? Nodemon, and that's all. So we can close this up and just npm run dev, and it's gonna run it with nodemon, but it's telling us it's crashed. And why is that? Oh, because in my nodemon it's index, right? It's index.ts, not. So I'm just gonna run it again, and yeah, so it's gonna continue watching for changes, right? It's gonna continue watching for changes. So I'm just gonna close all the files, and now we are done with the refresh token route. So want to implement token based auth middleware for that protected route. But I think before we do that, let's work on password reset, so we can wrap up this tutorial. Okay, yeah, so the forgot password route and then the reset password route. So, both of them work hand in hand, right? So for forget password, so it's submit. So basically you're submitting your email, and then it's going to cross check against the database. If that email exists, then it's going to generate a token and an expiration date, which is like 30 minutes away from when the token is created. Now this token is going to be stored, and the expiration time is going to be stored in your database, right? And now this is going to help us in creating a new. So now the reset password endpoint is going to be used. So when the user clicks on forget password, right, and they fill their email, now once everything works, now we're going to send a mail to the user. That's like literally that's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to send an email with the user with the token. So the token is going to be accompanied by the front end URL. so the front-end developer can extract the token from the URL, because it's going to be like a param, right? Now, what's going to happen is, with that token, the user can now interact with the reset endpoint, now passing in the new password and the reset token, and then we can verify the token and the expiration to be sure it works well. Now, if this works well, we're going to take this new password, we're going to hash it, and then store it to the database, and then we're going to clear the token and the expiration. So that's like the whole logic. So remember, in Prisma, we added like the reset token and the reset token expiration. So we don't need to like start adding it and then doing all of this again too. So we're going to be making use of crypto. Crypto is like a Node.js library, right? So we don't need to install anything. So I'm just gonna I really don't think we should create a token generator file, right? This is why we token util file. So I'm just going to come to this token, right, and put it here. And then this would mean me importing crypto to this file. Now with this, all of that is solved, right? Now we can now go ahead to like the service and then import. So we'll go to the service file, and then oh my gosh, pardon me. So go to the service file. We're literally doing a lot here. So go to the service file and import the region from token, right? So generate reset token. And then I'm going to explain what this code is doing. But what this code is basically doing is a forgot password service. So we're taking the email, just like we explained, and we're checking through the Prisma, the database, to see if this email exists. If it does not exist, we return and we get out the whole function. Now, if it exists, we're going to get, if it exists, we're going to generate token and expiry from like the generate reset token function. And we're going to store this into the database, right, where the email is the email, right? Now that's what's happening here. So in a real world use case, in a real app, we're supposed to send a mail. We're supposed to send a mail which includes the token that is generated, right? But first of all, let me copy all of this into the service file. Into the service file. And yeah, we imported this already. Now we have all of this, right? Now this token, yeah, so instead of returning the token, right, I think what I would like to do is to console log. So I can just console log what like the actual link could be like, right? So look at this. So I'm just like saying password reset link. So this is like going to be my front end URL link, right? And then this is going to be the route that is going to be for like resetting password. And then we're passing the reset token. We're passing the token, not the reset token. We're passing the token. Now, this token is now going to be pulled by the front end and then used for all of for like creating the new. But like, yeah, this is what we're going to be doing, right? And then for the controller, yeah, for the controller, we're going to add this, and it's just to control the control password service we created. So it's taking the email, sending it to the service, and then when the service does all these things, it's just going to so if the user, so this is going to be the response on the API side, right? So after sending the mail, it's going to be like, oh, if the user exists, the link has been sent, blah, blah, blah. And like, yeah, that's all of that. Now, the next thing is for us to go to the reset password route, right? So I've been able to like request like a token that is going to be used to like reset the password, right? Now, the next thing was for us to like reset the actual password. Now, coming back to the service, now what this function is doing is that it's taking the token, which is like what we sent to the email, taking the token and then the new password which the user is going to enter on the reset password route on the front end. So the new password that the user is going to enter and the token is going to like check through the database to ensure that the token that the user enters is in the database. You understand? And then it's also going to check the token expiration time to be sure the token has not yet expired, right? Now, if all of this goes through, we're going to hash the new password that the user gives us, and then we're going to update the database. So we're going to update the database using the hash password, and we're going to set the reset token and the reset expiry token to null. So in the auth service, we're just going to come down here, and then for this, we're just going to use the hash password util function that we created earlier on, and that's all of that, right? Now coming to the the controller itself. Now coming to the controller, what this function is doing is it's taking the token and the new password, sending it to the service, right? Now when the service does all of its things and everything works out well, right? So we're going to just output on the API that the password reset is successful, right? And that's all of that, right? Now I've been able to like set up the whole password reset thing, forgot password reset route. Now the next thing is for us to go to our routes folder and create those routes, right? Yeah, and create both routes. So that's gonna be forgot password and reset password. Yep, so forgot password and reset password. So I forgot password and reset password. I'm going to import both of them from controller. And now with this, we can be able to reset our password, right? So we're going to come back to, so with the email, right? Now we're going to go back to Postman. And first of all, yeah, the user is logged out, so we can go to, so I'm just going to replace this first of all. Now we can go to the forgot password route. I think that was like the first route. Yeah, so the forgot password route. You can go to the forgot password route and then enter your email address, right? Now, I don't think this email exists. So yeah, it's going to be a post request. Yeah. So it says if this user exists, a link has been sent. Now, because this user does not exist, you see a link is not sent because it's supposed to be console logged, right? It's supposed to be logged here. Now, because this user does not exist, now let's go to Prisma Studio. I'm just going to refresh and take a mail that actually exists, right? Now, taking a mail that exists, I'm going to go back to Prisma and then, to Postman and update this. Right? And then when I send this, saying a reset link should have been there. So you can see the link here. So just that what we logged, password link. So you see the link here, and then this has the token. So this is the token that the front end is going to like extract to be able to like do its own work. So we're going to come here. So the email and then the token. Yep. Now this is going to be sent to the reset password endpoint. But one thing I want you to check now, I'm going to refresh this database. You remember the reset token and then the expiration token is also going to be sent the moment we're able to generate a reset token, right? Now we're now going to change the database, the password. So going to the reset password route and then sending the email and the token generated. Now when we send it, so apparently it looks like it is not able to decrypt the token. Now let's go back to the service for the hashed password. Okay. Okay, apparently I want to be sure I'm getting exactly what I need to pass, right? So I'm passing to this, the token. Oh, sorry, it's a new password. So let's go back to the code and then it is new password, not just password. Oh, sorry. We're not supposed to pass the email, right? We're supposed to just pass the token and the new password. the new password is going to be, let's just call it new secure password. Yep. So with this, when we pass this, so let's go back to the database and reload before. You notice that the password, let's look at the password. The password ends with JRD, right? And then we still have the reset token and all. So when we send, it tells us that the password has been reset. Now when we refresh, remember, now you notice we no longer have the reset token and the expiration. Now the password ended with JRD and you see the password has changed, right? Now we have been able to implement all the endpoints we set out to implement using with ChatGPT on our side helping us write majority of our code. But yeah, I've been doing some explanations. Now, one last thing I'm going to implement before I wrap up this tutorial is protected routes. So for this, you need middleware, right? Now, middleware is going to enforce to ensure that there is an access token, and then without an access token, you cannot access a particular route. So yeah, set this up very basic. Yeah, so looks like JWT is trying to do his thing here. Yeah, so the goal is the middleware always checks to ensure you set the access token. Yeah. Now for us to do this, we're going to create like a middleware. So it looks like we don't have a middleware folder just right here. So in the SRC file, one of the folders we're supposed to create is the middleware folder. And just like the name says, like middleware. So they're going to be like in the middle, checking to ensure that to enforce authorization, right? Yeah. So we can call this file auth.middleware.ts. I'm gonna follow like the convention that we followed all along. So let's call it auth.middleware.ts. Looks like I messed things up, right? Oh, okay. Yeah, auth.middleware.ts. Now let's go through the code to be sure it's like what we want, right? Now the first thing is, yeah, so okay, we have the JWT. What's JWT doing here? Okay, it's verifying, so we can easily get this from our utility function, right? But yeah, what it's doing is it's checking the header of your request for the authorization code, and like, yeah, all it's just trying to do is to extract the token from the header of your request. Now if the token exists, what's trying to do is verify the token to ensure that the token that was using the secret to ensure that this token is like the token related to that particular user, right? Now if the token is verified, then you'll be able to so if this middleware is added to any route, so it will be needed for that route to go through, right? So I'm just going to copy this, paste it here. I'm not going to import JWT, and then I'm just going to come here. So I think I need to import I need to import generate reset. I need to import generate reset token, I guess. But there's no harm in checking, right? No. Verify refresh token. That's what we need to import, right? So verify refresh token. Now with this, we can now go ahead to delete all of this, right? And just use the verify refresh token. No, we don't. Yeah, just verify refresh token, because here we've done all of that, right? Yeah, we've checked that. Now with that, we have implemented the middleware. Now we can now go to our route and just create a simple protected route, right? No need to like work on controllers and all. So let's just go to the auth route and let's like just create okay, so they gave us like a basic code here. Yeah, so it's going to be a get request to let's call it protected. Yeah, and then so require auth is the middleware, right? Now it's imported from this, so I'm just gonna import it here. Yeah, from the middleware. It's imported from the middleware. Yeah, that's require auth. I really don't know why it's still flagging the error. But let me reload. Okay, yeah. So require auth. Oh my god. So I really don't know what this error is, but I'm just gonna give it to ChatGPT. So it decodes the problem. Okay. 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 I think it's still 18 with the middleware, right? And I think it has to do something here, right? But it's written in a way that, oh, okay. Oh, it looks like we're not returning void. Oh my god. Yeah, we're not, yeah, that was the error, right? Now we still get to like, sorry. We still get to like import this. Yeah, and then we get to like adjust this briefly. Yep. So with that, this should work. Yeah, you see everything is trying to work again. So we go to the route. So we have a protected route, and then require auth is in the middle, like you understand. So this is like those kind of like requests that we make from the controller before, but we're just bringing it here. So, remember we always import from controller. So we're just putting it here, and then require auth is going to be in the middle. So it's going to enforce authentication, right, for this route. So what it's doing is that if it exists, we can, yeah, there's a quick fix here. Now this is all TypeScript. This is all TypeScript doing its thing, right? Now, let me just, I know you can import the user type from the user. Let me just tell you. Yeah, we can import type from user. Yeah. Let me try and verify. Oh, and yeah, another thing would be to, okay, so you can, I'm just gonna copy this. Yep. So here, yeah, I'm just setting the type here that it's going to be any and all. Yeah. And so what this is doing, just like before, so if this passes, right, so we're just going to send like a response that this is successful. You access the protected route and send details about that particular user. So now we're going to go back to testing and going back to Postman. So no user is logged in, right? So when we go to protected, and we don't need to pass in anything, right? So when we click send, it tells us that you cannot access this. Oh, I think it's a get request. So when we click on send, it tells us that access token is required, right? Now let's try and log in, or let's just sign up another user. Let's sign up another user. I need like payload information. Okay, since I can get any, so I think we need the email. So let's call that johndoe@mail.com. Oh my god, I can't believe I typed this. Okay, so with that we have the email. Then next thing is we need the password. And then I'm just gonna set this to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Now, I need to remember the password. johndoe@gmail, because I will need to log. Okay, I think the user logs in automatically. So now this is going to be a post request to sign up. And when I do this, we get an access token because, yeah, we get an access token. So I'm going to copy this access token and I'm then going to come to authorization and then go to Bearer token and I'm going to paste this. here. So I'm going to delete it first and paste it here. And yeah, with that, we can now go to the protected route. And I'll go to the protected route, go back to the body. We don't need all of this. And then when I send the request, it's supposed to be a get request. So when I send the request, it tells us invalid or expired token. Now this is strange, but this was the token just created, right? What do we do? So let's refresh. For us to refresh, I think we need a body with the token. Yep, we need the token, right? And then we send a post request, and then this gives us a new token, which we can now go back to the authorization, BR token, and I see, we set this. Now, when we set this, we can now come back to the protected, right? And make it a get request, and then I think we can delete all of this. And let's send a request, or still tells us the same thing, invalid or expired token. Now, this is becoming strange, right? Oh, where is this handled? So just wrote middleware, right? Wrote the middleware, and then we're testing. Now, I try to like find what the error is, why we keep getting the whole error around invalid token. And I think why this is happening is because in the middleware, we are doing the verify refresh token. And in the verify refresh token, we are using the secret from the refresh token, right? We're using the refresh token secret. So we're supposed to have another function called the verify access token, right? So because this is using the access token, not the refresh token. So I'm just gonna say access token, and then this is gonna make use of the access token secret. So yeah, this is going to make use of the access token secret. And then we're going to go back to the middleware. This time around, we'll be using the verify access token. And then with this, when we come back here, hopefully this gets to work. And then you see it worked, right? It works. So this is how to like undo protected route. And you notice when you log out, logout is a post request, does not take in anything. Now there's no cookie, when you delete this token from here and you try to access the protected route, like you will not be able to access it. Now, so briefly in this project, we've been able to like set up a basic Node.js project. We've been able to handle authentication. We've been able to like go through like this various endpoint. We've been able to like set up sign up, login, log out, refresh token and all. And yeah, this is basic authentication, but from here you can be able to build on it to like create other like more logical routes depending on your application and all. Yeah, but I'm going to like go in another project. I'm going to dive deep into another area. I could be handling protected routes the more in case you set up your Node.js project and you're trying to like migrate to use TypeScript. I plan to like create a video around that. But like the next video I'm going to be creating is about creating CRUD REST API that's going to be able to like get, post, delete, yeah, and like all of that, right? Well, that's going to be in another video, but this is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm going to see you in the next one. Please like, share with your friends, and possibly comment. I'm going to see your comments. If you have any video you'd like me to create, just drop it in the comment section. I'm definitely going to create it. Bye.